Hello RPG fans and welcome back to the kingdom. For my 11th challenge run, this will be with all black mages, but it's not going to go how you probably expect it to. And right before we get into this, I want to share a text chain that I got from Doomtrain. He starts off with saying, "I know I haven't always been there for you in the past, but I want to change that." So I'm kind of wondering to myself, okay, what do you have in mind? He then says, "I want you to give me the crystal and trust me." So naturally I respond with, "It sounds pretty risky to straight up trust you given our past." He replies, "I understand, but you won't regret it, boss. I'm sure of this." I then tell him I'm not a boss, I'm a leader, but a leader needs to trust his team or there is no team. "Okay, Doomtrain, but again, what do you have in mind?" He then says, "I will rain damage upon them with the likes of which you have never seen." Now that kind of sent a little bit of nerd chills down my spine, so I ask him, "When do we start?" And then he replies with, "We already have." So if that doesn't uplift your spirits and get you in the right mood to like and subscribe, then I don't know what to tell you. But with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Can you 100% Final Fantasy I with only black mages? Who messaged me? I thought I had my Discord pings turned off. Oh, it's from Doomtrain. He says, "Don't forget to go over the rules." I don't get why you messaged me like that. I was literally just about to go over that. So, as part of the rules, we must use 4 black mages, no ascending the black mage to black wizard for battles, no glitches, hacks, mods, free, or paid DLC if there is any, and our victory condition is to beat the final storyline boss and get all 24 Steam achievements. But that is not everything. I have decided to try and add a little bit of a twist into the goals for this run, and that is going to be to try and one-shot every single boss, with the exception of Garland and Chaos. So with how long Final Fantasy I Pixel Remastered has been out, it's really no secret that it's not hard to survive these fights, it's not hard to do damage, so I decided, you know what, instead of trying to do damage, how much damage can we do, and can we even one-shot the bosses? And additionally, with doing this on black mages, I think it's a pretty good thing to try and do because black mages have a temper skill, and they are not natively known for doing physical damage. And then of course later on we'll be grabbing the Giant's Glove item. So buckle up and grab a snack because we are in for a ride. The first thing I do when loading in is I start to defend and make sure that my party members die while Doomtrain is the only one left alive. Since he wants to be the carry, we're going to try and do just that for him. So by staggering the party members' deaths, what that's going to do is make them level up all at different times, and this is critical for the strategy that we're going to try and do throughout this run. And so every time I level up on Doomtrain, if it does not increase my strength, I will reload my quick save and try again. We are going to save scum the absolute hell out of this run for all 98 levels. So first up is Garland. So 2 reasons why I decided to not include Garland in this challenge. One is it would take an insane amount of time to level up and deal enough damage to one-shot him when I'm hardly doing anything right now anyway. And secondly, I didn't even think about this additional goal until after I already defeated Garland. Which is why, if you just notice, when I beat Garland, I leveled up and it didn't roll strength, and I just decided to continue to go with it. So throughout this entire run, I believe there's 2 or 3 strength points that I didn't actually get. One of them was from Garland, another one was I accidentally quick saved when I meant to reload, and then I think there was a third one to where everything except strength leveled up that I accidentally took. But it's not going to matter at all in the end, and I'll explain why later. So the beginning part of this run is definitely going to be the hardest, mainly from a gil perspective. So we don't get our first level 3 spell until Elfheim, which gives us Thundara as well as Fyra. So those 2 spells will allow us to AoE all the mobs at once for some quick grinding. And then furthermore, we also need to buy Temper and Slow, which is a level 2 spell, which we get from Pravaka. And we need to have that on every single black mage. And then on our level 1 skills from Cornelia, we usually get Fire as well as Focus, although I'm not convinced that Focus actually does anything in this version. So once I get all the spells for every character as well as start building up my recovery items, we go ahead and go through the Marsh Cave, we get the crown, and on comes our very first boss fight to where we are going to try and one-shot on Astos. Considering this is a pretty monumental task for where we're at in the game, especially with just a standard weapon on Doom Train right now, I decided, okay, let's go ahead and give this a try. So we cast Temper like 15 times or something. I don't even know if it stacks above 10 times. However, the max strength stat is supposedly 255. So by only casting it 10 times, that's only plus 140 strength. But we go ahead and do it anyway, and we deal 474 damage without a crit. So this is starting to be very promising. Throughout this playthrough, I always want to make sure that my level up on Doom Train happens prior to a boss fight, because I do not want to level up after a boss fight and then just have the level up not roll strength. I do a lot more grinding out on the sea, so that way we have enough of the gil to get haste as well as Blizzara from Elfheim, since those are 4,000 gil a piece and we need those on every character. Once we've done that, we go ahead and blow up the canal with the nitro powder, and then we head over to Melmond, where we spend again some more gil on magic. Fyraga and Slowra are the next ones on the board for everyone to get, which are 8,000 gil a piece. And a little fun fact is, now that the Earth Cave is accessible, this is actually a power leveling as well as power grinding spot for gil. Right when you zone in, if you head to the left, you will see 2 encounters that have 2 Hillgigas as well as 3 other mobs with them. And with Fyraga, we can now 2-shot the Hillgigas, so we go ahead and farm those up for about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll have all the gil we'll need at this point in the game. Next up is the Vampire. Now the Vampire has always been super weak. He's only got an HP pool of 280, so since I've already dealt 470 damage previously to Astos, then I'm pretty confident that the Vampire is not going to cause any issues. So we go ahead and temper up Doom Train probably 10 plus times or so, and then we go ahead and whack the Vampire with our stick, where he does indeed get one-shotted. We deal some massive damage at 1,126. And that was with the crit, so this is looking really good. I do spend quite a bit of time in the Giant's Cave because there's lesser tigers that can spawn in there, and they do have a very low chance of dropping an X potion. So I figured I might as well go ahead and grind here, since I still need EXP, I need the gil, and the X potions I will most likely need to farm anyway for the Chaos fight. So I go ahead and do that now, and we do get a few X potions, so it's a win-win-win. While farming the tigers, I remembered, hey, we can actually gain access to Crescent Lake right now. So I go ahead and head over there, where I can pick up 2 Thundergust spells, which is going to be absolutely great for clearing enemies. And next up is the Lich. Now this fight, of course, already being a magic user, is already going to be an easy fight. The Lich is really only hard when you've got like a full melee party, and even then it's still manageable. But because we are magic users, even if he casts slow on us, it doesn't matter, as long as he doesn't cast slow on Doom Train. However, because we have haste on everyone, we do have the ability to counteract that debuff. And what's also great is the Lich himself can be slowed at a very low probability, but the fact that he can be slowed means he has 0 damage output for the most part. So a lot of the Lich's damage is going to be coming from physical attacks. So as long as we keep slow on the boss, he's not really going to do anything for us, and this is going to allow us a lot of time to stack Temper on Doom Train. I go ahead and use Focus on the boss because at this point in the game, I think it helps, I'm not exactly sure. But once we're fully stacked, we hit the attack button on Doom Train, he says, let me show you how it's done, and then he crits for 1,800 damage. And the Lich only had 1,200 HP. So because I crit the Lich for 1,800, I felt 0 need to break the sequence. So I'm not going to go to the Ice Cave and get the Levy Stone and get the Mach 2. Instead, we're just going to proceed right to the volcano and proceed through it all the way to Merilith. So Merilith has 1,440 HP. I start off by trying to spam slow on Merilith until it finally takes, which is going to drastically reduce her damage output. And so the only damage output that she has from here is her Fyra attack, which is an AoE on all of our party members, which can easily be healed up with a high potion. And so we play the long, strung out fight of using Temper on Doom Train again, and it was on, I believe, my 6th attempt that I was finally able to get a crit on Merilith and one-shot her. 1,646 damage does indeed one-shot Merilith. We pick up the Levy Stone from the Ice Cave and then go ahead and get our Mach 2. Listen to the sound of when the airship hits the dirt. Doesn't it sound like it's extremely destructive? I wouldn't be surprised if something broke, to be honest. I then pick up the 40k Gil Desert Fairy as well as some strength potions as they might come in handy, and then we take care of the Dragon Caves loot and then head all the way over to Gaia. Gaia has our best and final spell, Blizzaga, so I make sure to grab one for all of the mages. I clear the Citadel of Trials with relative ease, and remember, we are still save scumming every single level up to make sure that we proc strength. We pick up the Warp Cube and get told that we are absolutely filthy by a fountain, and we continue. After picking up all the loot, including the Rosetta Stone, we go ahead and make our way over to our next boss, the Kraken. I was looking forward to the Sunken Shrine, particularly because the Giant's Gloves are in this area, so once we pick those up, that's just another method that we have to boost Doom Train's strength up besides Temper. And with the strategy that I've been using on the previous bosses, I figured if it's not broke, don't fix it. However, I spent a decent amount of time trying to get slow on the Kraken and it just wasn't taking, so I just decided to cut that part of the footage out. And so right here we are just stacking Temper and Giant's Gloves, and we are just waiting until the opportune time for Doom Train to just wall up the boss. And do keep in mind we are using haste on Doom Train during these boss fights as well. Once we're ready, we go ahead and hit that attack button and he crits for 2,850 damage, which is a massive overkill because he only has 1,800 health. Next up is the Flying Fortress, and I do not want to farm on the bridge to try and encounter Warmech right now because he does have the potential to run away from me, and with the amount of time that it would take me to cast Temper as well as stacking Giant's Gloves, I don't know if he would run away. Next up is Tiamat. Tiamat is susceptible to slow, so we go ahead and spam that on her until it takes hold, and then from there her damage output just goes right down to the floor. We don't really have anything to worry about, so high potions when needed. Tiamat's HP pool sits at a pretty nice even 2,400, but with the amount of damage that we've been doing to the previous bosses, I think that we should be fine. After slow takes hold, we go ahead and do the same strategy of Temper stacking and Giant's Gloves stacking until we are ready, and we cast haste on Doom Train, we cast focus on Tiamat, because at this point I still think it helps whether it does or not, but I'm still pretty convinced that it doesn't do anything. And then we unleash the attack and we get another crit. Burger King doesn't have anything on this whopper, 3,470 damage. So an overkill by 1,000. Oh man, this is so cool. So I'm at level 44 now, going into the Chaos Shrine, and with the amount of damage that I've done to Tiamat, I'm pretty confident that I'll still be able to one-shot the upcoming bosses, so we go ahead and test that out. Next up is the Lich. The rematch with Lich is going pretty much exactly how I would expect it to. I cast slow on him again until it takes hold, and then continue to stack Temper and Giant's Gloves again, but this time it's a little bit different, so he decides to use Flare, which does a incredible amount of damage to my entire party, and I actually almost game over right here. And I was like, okay, you know what? Instead of trying to heal everyone with high potions, let's just heal Doom Train and then have him attack on our upcoming turn and see if we can just get it out of the way. And he crits for 3,215, which is about 400 overkill. I was expecting a little bit more damage because we have gained levels since when we fought Tiamat, so it was a little bit weird that I didn't do as much damage as I thought I would have. But we're still one-shotting and we're still progressing. With Doom Train all ramped up, he doesn't want to stop, so he runs forward ahead of us onto the next boss, and we barely make it in time to help him out. First thing we do is get slow off while stacking Giant's Gloves, and as soon as slow starts to take hold is when Y'shtola starts to not do so well. Doom Train 2.0 maybe? But we all know why. Because we're only given 3 ribbon helms in this entire playthrough, it's going to be Y'shtola that doesn't have one for this run. On our first attempt, I didn't crit, so I restarted the fight, and on the second attempt, we got the crit. 3,310, which is an overkill by 110 damage. So at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually getting a little bit worried about my damage, but I also remembered that I currently only have a staff equipped. I don't even have the Masamune equipped yet, so there's still hope. At this point, I go ahead and leave and grind some more lesser tigers to try and get some X potions in case I need them for chaos. And this is also a good opportunity to recover all of the restorative items. And then at level 52, we are going to engage the Kraken. Needless to say, I wasn't anywhere close to beating this boss yet, so I level up all the way to 74 and then I take on the Kraken again. With all of the attempts that I had on the Kraken, I never got a game over. It was just that when Doomtrain would attack the Kraken and crit, I still wasn't one-shotting the Kraken, hence all the leveling up that I've done. With the same strategy as before, cast slow until it takes hold on the Kraken, cast temper, make it stack, same with Giant's Gloves, make it stack, and then cast haste, and then hope for a crit. And hopefully we have enough strength stat now to where we can one-shot the Kraken. So the Kraken still does hurt quite a bit, and towards the end here, I didn't really care if people were dying because I'm going to be leveling up a lot anyway to get the strength stat boost because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need it for Tiamat and Chaos, so it didn't really matter to me if people were dead for the experience that the boss offers. But when I finally launch the attack, we do get the crit and we do take down the Kraken. 3,820 crit, which is about 200 overkill. And so now we all know what this means. With the Kraken down, we can go ahead and get the Masamune, and look at how much of a damage increase this is. This should be ridiculous. So with what the screen is showing me right here, my attack is almost doubling, so I'm expecting my damage to almost double. But unfortunately, it turns out that's just not how it works. I cannot tell you how many attempts and how many hours I spent on Tiamat trying to one-shot Tiamat, and it's not possible. Tiamat has 5,500 HP, and the most damage I was ever able to do in a single hit was 4,170 with full strength stack, temper, Giant's Gloves, strength potions, haste, everything. So I'm not exactly sure what the damage calculations are behind the scenes, but I'm going to go ahead and throw up the encounters that I had on here. And go ahead and pause the video because I'm not about to read all of this out. And the damage output on average, regardless if I had the Mage's staff equipped, which was only, I think, 53 attack power-ish, and the Masamune, the damage output for a total number over 2 hits still averages out to be the same. So it's not possible to one-shot Tiamat. So while this wasn't a part of the official rules, it was an additional goal that I was trying to perform throughout this video. So I expected Chaos not to get one-shotted because he's got 20,000 health. But I thought this was really cool to see how far I got while trying to one-shot each of these bosses. So eventually when we did kill Tiamat, it was a 2-shot, unfortunately. Regardless if I was at level 85 or level 99, the damage output was still the exact same as when I was 85. So at level 99 going into Tiamat, our first hit did a crit of 3,150, and then our second attack also crit for 3,915, giving us a total of 6,810 damage on average, which was the same as when I was 85. And so this brings us to the final boss of the game, once again, Chaos. I'm clearly not going to bother trying to cast slow on Chaos. Instead, we are just going to go right into Temper and Giant's Glove stacking. And pretty quickly, our only non-ribbon helmet wearer, Y'shtola, does decide to faceplant into the ground, but that's okay. Now that we're left with the 3 characters that have the ribbon helmet on, we really don't need to heal throughout this fight at all by the time we're done stacking all of the strength buffs on Doomtrain. But I figured, you know what, why not? We have all these X potions to burn. I farmed some up. Let's just go ahead and use them anyway. Kind of like a flex, you know? So once I start pressing the attack with Doomtrain, we're doing about 3,000 plus per hit. So Chaos goes down in just a matter of mere turns. This, by far, hands down, was the funnest Final Fantasy I challenge run that I have done so far. This was an absolute blast. And what I really think that made this challenge worth it and fun for me in doing this run and creating it for all of you was trying to add on that additional goal of one-shotting all the bosses. And that was really motivational for me. And of course, and last but not least, we do find the war mech after about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we talk to Bahamut to turn in the rat's tail, and we also pick up the Excalibur. If you all are still here after 20 minutes, thank you very much again for spending some of your time here. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I really hope that the hype that I've built up for this video has lived true. And this conclusion brings us to, can you 100% Final Fantasy I with only black mages? Yes, you can. So what do you guys think? Did Doom Train redeem himself? Is he allowed to stay on the team? Let me know in the comments below how you think Doom Train did. And I hope he's worthy enough for you to like and subscribe the video. I'd like to know what you guys thought about the video in general, and it doesn't have to be just about Doom Train if you don't want it to. And if you are one of the viewers who doesn't understand the Doom Train reference, go ahead and watch the other 3 challenge run videos, the Final Fantasy I monks, then thieves, and then red mages, and that should explain the entire storyline for you. So again, thank you guys for being here, and I will catch you all in the next challenge run. Bye bye.